you and I both talked to people in the Isiah Thomas space today. I spoke to a mutual friend of ours who's close with Isiah. He's close with me. And you spoke to a former player who
a couple
knew
of guys,
him, who know him. And so what I was told, because I said to the guy, kind of what you said to Mark Aguirre, I was like, man, Isiah taking a beating in The Last Dance.
Right.
He was like, man, he's loving it. I was like, what? He was like, it's like first of all, outside of Michael Jordan and the other Bulls like Rodman or Pippen, Isiah Thomas is the biggest player outside of the Bulls that is starring in this documentary.
No doubt about it. He's
right?
gotten. I bet you if you were to look at the amount of time, he's up there with Pippen. I'm telling you.
Right. And here was the thing. The guy said, look at this. This is what's going on. The GOAT, the greatest player of all time, is obsessed with you. 30 years later, he's still talking about you. 30 years later, he still views you as his nemesis. And we see you were the guy. You're seeing it in the documentary. You were the guy beating him. Little old 6'1" Isiah Thomas, you were the obstacle. You were the guy he couldn't get past for several years. You were the guy that forced him, and I know it was more than Isiah, but he was the star. He was the leader of the team. You were the one that forced him into the weight room to get bigger and stronger. He's not talking about Magic. He beat Magic. The one time they met in the postseason, he beat Magic. He's not talking about Bird. I don't know if he lost more than once to Bird, maybe twice, but, early in his career, his nemesis was Isiah Thomas. And so in a strange way, when you think about it, it does lift Isiah's stature. Now, obviously, Isaiah's taken a lot of negativity from this. I mean, that's why he wasn't on the Dream Team. And, so he's taking some shots. There's those that said other guys didn't want him on and all that. But
there was a story out there with Michael Wilbon that he had to retract, saying that there were 9 players.
Yeah, I don't know where Mike got 9. I saw his retraction.
Yeah,
it was pretty much. It was obviously Jordan, obviously Pippen, Magic and him had fallen out, and so I don't know that Magic was speaking against him, but he certainly wasn't pushing for him.
But when you say
Bird
9 players,
that's 4.
You're basically saying that Mullen and Leitner were the only ones who didn't have an issue with Isiah. Seriously.
Well, Drexler has come out, and I believe Drexler. Drexler was like, man, I had no issues with Isiah. They say Karl Malone, because, Isiah put 44 on Stockton the first time they met after the Dream Team was announced.
Oh, yeah. That was getting back and saying I belong there, not you.
Right. And then the next time they played is when Malone hit him with that elbow in the paint and had, 10 stitches on his forehead or something like that, maybe more. And so maybe Malone, I don't know if Malone, or maybe he had an axe to grind with Isiah too, but still, 9 players. But I'm glad Mike retracted that because that just didn't seem right.
That number seemed way high. Yeah,
way, way high.
But Chris, on the flip side, in talking to some people, it's their reaction is like exact opposite. This is a fight. Excuse me. Isiah can't win. You just not going to
win against Jordan. Yeah.
Yes, it's his documentary. It's going to be painted the way he wants. To buy into this, and the whole idea or what I was hearing was, right? You did all of it. You won championships, MVPs, Hall of Fame, All-Stars. You did everything you're supposed to do. What are you still fighting about? Why do you care whether Michael Jordan endorses your career or validates you? You don't need him to be validated.
Right.
When you talk about the NBA story and Isiah Thomas,
He's in
there.
The story. Right.
He's in the story. Jordan can't take him out. Can take him out during his playing time and can't take him out afterwards. That Isiah should just be proud of where he is, what he's accomplished, and leave it at that. If Michael Jordan wants to rip his high school coach and his teammates and other
Did he
people.
mention
like he
Isiah in his speech? I don't think he mentioned Isiah in his Hall of Fame speech.
But you know what I mean? You remember that?
Right.
That was classic.
He mentioned everybody else.
He ripped everybody. This is my point, is you shouldn't get involved in that and shouldn't have to go out and try to protect yourself or protect your name. His work speaks for itself. So I'm in that camp. So what? Like my only thing is, and I'm mad at, is I wish if Isiah was going to say anything, and he claims he doesn't know for sure, but expose Mike and say, dude, this is the guy who kept me off the team, and I know X, Y, and Z, if you do know it. And just put Michael Jordan out there from that standpoint on that. But talking about any of the other stuff that went on and the handshake and trying to justify it or whatever, it's done. It's in the books. It's done.
Well, look, do I think Isiah would like Michael Jordan's endorsement or, that Jordan would speak kindly of him? Yes, I do think he would like that. But I think the biggest issue that Isiah has is the dream team. And I get that.
And rightfully so.
Right.
I do too. But it's done.
It's done, but it's something. And Rob, that was his business. Basketball. It's like you in writing or me in writing. If we really felt not only felt, knew, and everybody else of that era knew we deserved some type of accolade, whatever it was, and we didn't get it, we would be salty. Now, I know, look, I would be, if I were in Isiah's shoes, I would be more of the camp that you said. Like, look, I can't worry about dude. I got my own life to live. I've proven myself. I've done my stuff.
I'm
not
Famer.
Worried about what he's saying. Right. But I do understand where Isiah's coming from with the dream team, because that even bothers me. I got nothing to do with it. And it bothers me because as great as his legacy is, it would be even greater if he had been on that dream team. And again, there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He should have been on that team.
What did I say to Mark Aguirre? A travesty in sports, one of the biggest.
Yep.
So I'm in Isiah's camp. Like some people were like, you think Jordan's the GOAT, but boy, your Deadspin column, you went after him. On the Isiah thing, you go after him. I'm like, he's not perfect. He was a great player, Chris. He made some mistakes. And when it comes to the history of basketball and what they did, keeping Isiah off that team was not what you should be remembered by or people should think of you being attached to. I just don't think that he was such a great player. And I'm talking about Jordan, and Isiah was too in his own right. You don't have to love everybody, Chris. You do it all the time. You've been working in this business 25, 30 years. You don't love everybody you work with, do you?
No.
Doesn't mean that you're going to stop doing your work, does it? No.
And I'm glad you said that. Like, people say, well, you say Jordan's the GOAT. How'd you rip him in the car?
Right.
Look, we're telling it like it is.
Yes.
At least how we see it. And look, I know LeBron. I know his camp very well. I wrote 6 or 7 cover stories on LeBron for ESPN the magazine and spent a lot of time with him. I like LeBron. I love what he's doing on the court or off the court and on the court. But you hear me say Jordan's the GOAT. I mean, just because I like LeBron doesn't mean I'm not going to be objective when I talk about who I think is the better basketball player, who I think is the MVP.
Yep.
And like you said, with Jordan, we both say he's the GOAT, but we can admit he should have spoken out about the Harvey Gantt thing.
That's right. That column yesterday, Chris, was that a puff piece on Michael Jordan?
No, not at all. Not at all. And people got to understand that, though. I don't want, we're going to try to call it like we see it. Like when we were talking, you and I, when we've gone at it about Steph, and I start bringing up Durant and the 3-1 that he gave it up to, and you don't really deal with it when we're going at it about Steph. But today you dealt with, look, let's keep it real. He gave up a 3-1 lead too. So if you want to start comparing him to Jordan,
Right. If
You know,
we're going to do that, then we're going to nitpick. That's what
Right.
we do.
Right.
We're going to nitpick everything. And that's why whenever you start talking about a GOAT, all of a sudden, everything you've ever done is going to be on the table. That's how it works.
Because they're all great. They're all tremendous. They're the best of the best. And so it's little nitpicking that you do to separate them. That's all you can do because they're all tremendous.
I'm curious to see what people listening think the road Isiah should take. Because
Well, yeah. Let's throw it out there. 877-99 on Fox, 877-996-6369. Do you think Isiah should feel honored? Like pump out his chest like, yo, I'm in dude's head. I'm in the GOAT's head still. Magic ain't in his head. Bird's not in his head. I'm in his head. That should tell y'all how good I was. Or should he let it go, like Rob said, not be concerned with it, don't pay it any mind?
let's start with Lionel in Tulsa. You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What you got, Lionel?
Hey, guys. Thank you for taking my call. Chris,
Yes, sir.
this is going to be extremely painful to me to agree with Rob Parker.
Oh, my!
99 out of 100 times, I agree with Chris.
Well,
But-
we're kind of telling what people said to us
To us.
because I actually
okay.
said I would
But-
take it like that, like Rob was saying.
Okay,
But
Isaiah
yeah,
should let it go, but I'm disappointed in two people extremely. Chuck Daly didn't defend. Hello?
Yep,
Yep,
we're
we got
listening.
Chuck Daly didn't defend Isaiah. If Pat Riley would have been the coach and they wanted to keep Magic off the team,
It wouldn't have happened.
Pat Riley wouldn't have with a walk for it. And I'm disappointed in Michael Jordan as a person. 30 years later, that word hate is so strong. Let it go, Michael. Let it go. You're better than that.
all right.
Chris, it's hard to argue.
I like we debated the Chuck Daly thing
I know.
last week, yeah, and I do think he should have fought much harder for Isaiah. I don't think he really fought hard for him at all.
It doesn't sound
But,
like it from all the
yeah.
accounts. I'm just
Right.
saying. And we're not here to bash Chuck Daly.
No,
but
because
it
I don't
doesn't
blame
sound
him
like
for
it.
coaching the team. I don't think he needs to pay for the deeds of another man. It was a great opportunity for him, but I do think he should have fought as hard as he could to get him on. And if you couldn't get him on, it's still a great opportunity. I think I have no problem with him coaching the team. And from what I'm told, Isaiah doesn't either.
No, I'm sure he doesn't. Mark in California, well, because he knows that it also wasn't his idea. It wasn't as if
Yeah,
Chuck
it
started
wasn't.
He
Right,
knows that.
right.
Mark in California, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What you got?
Yes, I don't even think it's more about Jordan because we never hear from Jordan. I think it's more of the radio people, meaning that nobody tells, the people that he beat Jordan more times than he beat him. Nobody says that. Just like Chris, you just got done saying Larry Bird beat him 2 times. No, he didn't. Larry Bird is 3-0 against Michael Jordan. But people won't tell the truth when it comes to Michael Jordan. So I think Isiah Thomas, if more radio people told the true story in which Kareem, why is it that Michael Jordan's championships count, but Kareem's don't? Kareem was winning on every level, and he's been to way more champions.
But wait a minute. Hold on, Mark.
Keep him on, too. Keep him on.
Yeah, hold on. The Kareem, we if you want to say who's the best basketball player resume ever, it's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But that's separate from the NBA, what he did in college, what he did in high school. We all know that. So don't make it like we haven't mentioned that. If you're just talking about basketball, period, his resume, Chris, is unmatched.
Right.
Am I right? Unmatched.
At every level, there's no doubt. And look, there are those, I think Isaiah's one that would argue that Kareem's the GOAT. He's told me that, but I think he said LeBron too on TV. So there are those that think Kareem. When you nitpick, I can pick things out of Kareem's resume that aren't on Jordan's. I mean, Kareem was only the finals MVP twice in his 6 rings. His last championship, he was, maybe last 2 really, he was past his prime. And Magic and Worthy were kind of, he was still scoring a lot, but not, getting 6 rebounds a game. So, he didn't make the playoffs 2 years straight.
Chris,
right.
But we're nitpicking when you talk about the GOAT.
When you're talking about GOAT. So we're not just saying, we know basketball. We know the game and we know the history. So when we say Jordan, It's not because we don't know about Wilt. We don't know about Kareem. We don't know about Bill Russell or Magic or we know, but we think we have reasons for saying Jordan. And we can give them to you when you ask.
Era, Chris, there were 10 teams. They had the best team. And there was no free agency. So you had the best team. Go back. I want guys to go look. Go back in the 50s and 60s and go look. The same teams in all the leagues won, Chris. Montreal Canadiens, the New York Yankees, the Boston Celtics. The same teams won every year.
Yep. Because you couldn't leave. Once you were on the team, you were locked in.
They all won. The Green Bay Packers. Those are the teams that won the championships back then. What about Alan in Detroit? You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Alan?
Hello, guys. I love your show, and I think, Rob, you're from Detroit. But Isiah should have been on the team. He really should have been on that team based on his talent alone. But, Rob, I think you were in Detroit during this time. Remember, Isiah was supposed to leave the court and go straight to the front office. Do you think politics could have played something in that? Because, remember, there was a little slight scandal with Isiah involving some sort of check cashing thing. Do you remember that?
Yeah, but it wasn't. You know what? That was the idea. Bill Davison, the late former owner, Chris, remember that. And then the story was leaked early before it really happened. You know, like I don't know if it was Isiah's. I'm guessing again because it's fuzzy. Sister or something told somebody. You remember they wrote a story prematurely about it.
Exactly. I think it was
and
Mike
Bill
Downey.
Davison was not happy about like the way it kind of came out or whatever, because Bill Davison loved Isiah. He had a big picture of Isiah in his house. He was like his son. He loved Isiah. And then Isiah wound up not getting the job. And then eventually it went to Joe Dumars.
Yep.
So I do remember that as well. Let's go to Coop in Seattle. You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Coop?
Not much. Hey, you guys are doing an excellent job today.
Thank you.
And just to piggyback off of what you guys said earlier, where when people ask you, when they say, well, Kareem is, why don't we mention Kareem and why don't we mention so-and-so, your rebuttal should be, because you never seen a 10-part documentary set up for a guy. That's all you got to say.
Right.
Yeah, that is a good point.
It just shuts it down. Because, we continue to keep talking about, all these cats. And again, I'm a Celtics fan. So when he was crushing my boy, when he gave my boy 63, I was sitting in the barracks in Orlando, and I'm looking at that guy, and I'm like, man, that guy's legit. I'm still with the C's, but that guy's legit. But back to the question at hand, man, both of them got to let it go. They just both of them got to let it go. Zeke, you went on and had a great career. I'm sorry you didn't make the All-Star team. Or the
Olympic
Dream
team.
Dream team. But here's another thing. There's a lot of times we Chris, you've heard no. Rob, you've heard no.
I've heard no more times than I want to admit. Back to high school.
And the thing is that you shouldn't have heard no. You should have been allowed, but you've heard no. Right. So he heard no. So let's just get on with life and look at the rest of the doc and just, go from there. But, they both need to stop. Mike needs to stop.
I tell you what's interesting, too, Rob, is that, and this kind of goes into my point about, when the person was telling me that, Isiah's like loving it or think, right. Because, again, the younger reporters who didn't see the 80s basketball didn't know how great Isiah was. Because, when they won the championships, he averaged like 19 points, 18 points. Wasn't the Finals NBA, the first season they won it. He was the second time. But he had really, made a name for himself earlier in his career when he averaged like 20-something points and 13 assists one year. He had bigger numbers in other seasons. And so my point is, guys who didn't see that era, and they look back at it and think it was justified that he wasn't on the Dream Team, that Stockton was just better, And this is actually drumming. This has brought it back into everybody's memory, like the forefront of everybody's mind. And you're seeing a lot of people standing up for Isiah, saying he should have been on that team. and discussing why he wasn't on that team. So I think in that way, you know, it can wake up some people who didn't know how great he was and that he really should have been on that team. Because some people look at it like, well, Stockton was making all NBA ahead of Isiah for a year or 2 or 3 before the Dream Team was picked. He deserved it. No, but Bird wasn't Bird at that point. You know, Magic wasn't even playing in the league.
Right.
You know, Isiah, it was like for what he had done in the 80s, late 80s at that, he should have been on that team.